Hello, welcome. My exhibition presents the Procedural Sonnet. This is a literary gaming project which uses a narrative hyperlink game platform called Twine to create a text-based video game. The game takes its impetus and form from the crown of sonnets in Lady Mary Roth's Pamphylia to Amphilanthus. This project demonstrates, I'd argue, the productive, surprising ways that the 21st century digital and the early modern poetic collide. The project's ultimate product is a text-based video game titled How Shall I Turn? The game, which is approaching its final projected version, takes as its cue the first line of Roth's Corona. In this strange labyrinth, how shall I turn? And in the game, the sonic sequence is spatialized as a labyrinth in which each poetic line constitutes a room or passage. Players are presented with a line of poetry, followed by a list of the cardinal directions by which to proceed through the sequence. The cardinal directions are either hyperlinks that move the player to a new passage, or they're grayed out to mark their unavailability. While the labyrinth's exit always remains in one place, and at least one route always remains open, player choices can sometimes shift the pathways through the labyrinth. A choice to go north rather than east at one point in the labyrinth opens a door or seals a wall, so to speak, later in the labyrinth. In an initial version of the game, each game screen presents players with a line of William Shakespeare's first sonnet. In that version, as you can see, each line includes one or more bolded words. Players navigate through the sonnet by clicking on those bolded words. Depending on which word is chosen, players might proceed through the sonnet line by line, or they might also skip lines or loop back. In this initial version, the game's conclusion displays a player's addition of the poetry, and each chosen line of the sonnet is displayed. Any line skipped while playing is omitted. In both the earlier and the current version of the game, the player is presented with a limited number of choices. The effects of these choices, moreover, are unknown. That is, there's no necessary indicator of what may happen when one chooses to click on a particular cardinal direction, or in the earlier version, one bolded word versus another bolded word. The game provides no explicit clue as to what the outcome of the choice will be other than the appearance of another line of poetry. The player is continually confronted with the titular question, how shall I turn? And I hope this brief game description, history of development, and walkthrough suggests something of the project's multiple stakes, which I would say includes a consideration of how literary studies and game studies intersect at questions of lyric form and what Ian Bogost has called proceduralism, responding to what Laura Estel named digital humanities' Shakespeare problem, the possibilities for speculative digital methods as described especially by Bethany Novisky and for which I've argued elsewhere, and finally the ways that in particular the labyrinth marks a spatialized poetics which Roth crafts in response to the sonnet tradition. I'm looking forward to talking more about How Shall I Turn and the procedural sonnet with you all. Thank you.